Right, we're talking, of course, about this big row that's broken out. Daniel Radcliffe has basically said about JK Rowling, I don't owe her anything. She's wrong on the trans issue, of course. Rowling all but absolutely proven to be correct ever since that Cass report. A long time coming, and thank goodness biological reality back on the table at last. But he's basically said that nothing in my life would have happened if not for the author Rowling. But he also clarified that he said he doesn't owe the author anything, especially about the things he truly believes. So there he is, sort of very much sticking his flag in the ground and saying, I'm still going to continue banging the drum that people can pick whatever sex they want to be.
So, I mean, first of all, I'll give him a little bit of sympathy in that you don't have an obligation to have all the same views as somebody who's given you opportunities in the past. But what is clear is that he is on the wrong side of history here. JK Rowling is, you know, an absolute hero, especially to women, for everything she has done over the past few months, standing up for women despite having an immense backlash against her. Now, Daniel Radcliffe, he is saying that trans women are women, and to say otherwise is to erase the identity of trans individuals. Now, he's part of a charity, I think called the Trevor Project, which helps stop LGBT people committing suicide, supposedly. And if he's part of a charity like that, I would expect him to know that there is no scientific evidence suggesting that transitioning children reduces suicide rates. So, well,
this is the problem. It's this sort of vociferousness of people like Daniel Radcliffe, who I find a bit creepy. Remember when he did that theatre production, got his wang out on stage? Stop it, Daniel Radcliffe. No one needs to see your bits and bobs. Although we do know that you're biologically not a female. Thank you for that.
I think some people enjoyed seeing his bits in Equus, wasn't it? The play.
Yeah, I never went to see it. I mean, that is just that'd give you nightmares. But the problem is, it was the sort of the trendy. I mean, now if you're a Hollywood, starlet, you've got to have a trans kid, and it's this sort of the madness surrounding this debate, which has seen something happen that I think in years to come we're going to be seeing litigation on an unprecedented scale, a bit like the infected blood scandal, where all these kids given puberty blockers, all these kids who went along with adults saying, oh, we totally affirm, the fact that you think you're born in the wrong body, all these kids who had other psychological issues, who had neurodivergence, who were depressed, who were, or simply just being, again, at the same time we've been doing medical interventions on this, we've been force-feeding kids via algorithms and social media, all of this propaganda actively encouraging them to question their gender.
Yeah, the Cass review has been a huge step in the right direction on that, and I think that we are starting to turn the tide. But nevertheless, you have these virtue signalers like Daniel Radcliffe, and it seems like the whole cast of Harry Potter is going along with this now, who still feel like it's the kind, moralistic thing to do to tell these kids you can be whatever you want. Sometimes the best thing for people is to actually give them a bit of tough love. Just like if somebody is obese, you shouldn't say, oh, you're great just as you are, you stay obese, it's no problem for you whatsoever. Sometimes you need to give people a bit of tough love and say, you need to lose weight. And same with these kids, sometimes a parent needs to say, sorry, you're not a cat.
Well, exactly, Matthew, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was having this conversation the other day with my other half about where did this all come from? Who's behind this sort of all of a sudden mass brainwashing of people on the whole sort of gender trans debate, when 10 years ago no one was talking about this. And this activism doesn't seem to me to have come from the grassroots up. I don't think there's all of a sudden a load of trans people going, we need more rights. There seems to be something kind of deliberate and sinister happening, where at least an element of this activism is being imposed from the top down, whether it's social media, whether it's social big media, pharma.
So I think there are. I mean, look. So I mean, what everybody forgets is that you have been able to legally transition your gender now in this country for over 20 years. It was pretty uncontroversial when the gender recognition bill went through. There are some people who have gender dysphoria, who feel trapped in the wrong gender, and who have and who've transitioned. And but the numbers are very small who've done that. And what's happened in the last decade is you've seen this big growth, particularly in young women wanting to transition and questioning their gender, and that seems to be driven by social media in large part. And I think one of the things is that's why the cast review is so important, because it's so that all the support given to people who are questioning their gender before you're 18 is such that you can continue, that you're not irreversible consequences, so you're not being given hormone blockers, you're certainly not having surgery before you're 18, because I think that's what really worried people, and I think that's what's made the debate so toxic. So I really hope that the CAS report will help take some of the toxicity out of the debate, that young people who have, because one of the things, of course, it exposes a lot of the young people who are questioning this growth is people who have other issues they're facing, often mental health conditions, particularly autism is apparently a lot of the patients have autism as well. So I think people should be looked at in the round.
Clearly, as far as I can tell, what's gone on an industrial level, not in every single instance, but in a huge majority, is almost the online grooming of vulnerable young people to do medical things to their bodies that should not even be conscionable. If you can't, buy alcohol at the age of 18, you shouldn't be getting breast binders and blocking your puberty or having surgeries. And one day I will actually lift the lid on where all of this came from. I've been doing some digging around into some of the key characters involved in propagating the trans ideology and want to do a bit of an expose of that, but that is not going to be today. The difficulty, though, Chloe, is that all of these things might sort of seed themselves online and enter a wider discourse, but they soon start being translated into legislation.